John. Yeah, John, if you and Rick just go with it and check at GC-17 on your way there if there's any cranes available. Check the situation out at the well where you drop this gear off, and if necessary, just leave Rick there to offload it, okay? 10-4, that sounds like a winner.
At first sight, the odds seem hopeless, flesh and bone against the fury of a Kuwait oil fire. It is the ultimate up close and personal. Firefighters creep within 15 feet of flames burning at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. They are one small step away from being torched. A sudden wind shift, a broken water pump, exploding coke, all could kill them. Their protection seems flimsy and their tools look primitive compared to the power of the flames. Metal sheets act as heat shields. They wear simple cotton clothes and underwear and heat-reflecting suits. But mainly they survive by wit and cunning. So one can't help but be amazed that in this epic struggle, flesh and bone is winning. The beast is being slain. This is the Kuwait National Firefighting Team. It represents a new spirit in Kuwait. It includes the only woman firefighter in the field, Sarah Akbar, a petroleum engineer and a war hero who helped change computer files to keep Iraqis from destroying key pipelines. On this day, late in September, the Kuwait team is fighting its 7th well fire in 10 days. The other 6 well fires have been snuffed and capped. This well in the Minagis field is a deep, high-pressure well, and nearly all natural gas. Since there is little crude oil, combustion is almost 100%, and it is one of the hottest fires in the oil fields. Before they can kill the flames, burning at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, crew members must creep to within 4 or 5 meters of the dragon's roaring maw.
I can describe this actually in 2 words. It's hot and dangerous.
Firefighters are also protected by a water curtain sprayed from slits in corrugated metal shacks.
The water is actually between us and the well, so it's extinguishing the fire. In addition to that, it's cooling whoever behind it.
Their first chore is to drag twisted steel away from the wellhead so they can get access to it. Asa Boyabas heads the Kuwaiti firefighting team. Trained as a petroleum engineer, he was general superintendent of drilling for the Kuwait Oil Company before the war. But now he is driven by a different mission.
We have the will and the readiness to serve our country and save our reserves, the wealth of our kids and our future generation. So we are trying our best to accomplish anything we can do as fast as we can.
Boyabas assesses the morning's progress fighting the fire. About noon, he gauges the ground fires are contained and the heat is under control. He directs all water streams to be concentrated on the fire simultaneously, depriving the flames of oxygen.
Splendid feeling. It's a magnificent feeling. I really cannot describe it. Everybody was watching us, and it was like a trial test for us, and I think we have succeeded.
And for the only other lowboys should be going to BG 108 and BG 109 if they're standard lowboys, over.
During the 3rd week of September, Bob Cudd's firefighting team brawls with 2 adjacent wells, BG 108 and BG 109. For days, their hoses spray millions of gallons of water on them, trying to cool the coke piles and douse ground fires.
The wind keeps moving around, going back and forth on us. If we build a location to the left with the northwest wind, then the wind starts around to the southeast, and then it goes around to the northeast, and it comes around, and as long as it's doing that, there's not much we can do about it.
Twice, fickle winds have sent them scar covered. Crews always work upwind of the fires, not just because of heat, but once a fire is controlled, escaping hydrogen sulfide gas could suffocate them. BG-108 is particularly nasty. Exploding coke in the coke pile sends red-hot missiles toward the firefighters that could burn holes in their skin instantly. At one point, fire crews kill the fire on BG-108, but a sudden wind shift reignites it.
Unfortunately, they saw the fire coming back up the pit from the pit, up the trough. Just a piece of coke that was barely alight. The wind picked up, fanned it up, blew the coke up. Just went in the emulsion that's blowing out the top of the well, and off it went.
Today, winds are constant. Lucky Collinsworth, the explosives man, is going to try again. He packs 23 pounds of dynamite and 12 pounds of white C4 explosive into a 55-gallon drum. Along with explosives is a dry chemical called Purple K and buckets of desert sand.
Well, it creates a vacuum there. There's no oxygen or nothing. I'll fill this vacuum with Purple K, which robs the air of oxygen and energy, and it cools the air. Purple K is the cooling effect. And that time, by gosh, the fire snuffed out.
Like an overripe fruit about to fall, the explosive charge dangles from a long-necked Affy rack. The charge is maneuvered directly over the wellhead. Firefighters dash toward their hoses to prevent reignition. But this time, the wind stays true. The ground fire is doused, and the blast holds. BG-108 is out for good. Firefighters kill flames several ways. While Cud's crew used explosives on BG-108 and 109, a Boots and Coots team in the Magua field relies on water. As we approach their site, they get ready to kill a blaze. They move a 30-inch pipe called a snuffer tube over the flames.
There it goes.
The snuffer tube forces the fire out its top. Then fire monitors begin concentrating the 4 streams of water strategically at its base.
When your ground fires are under control and you've got your heat controlled underneath, then you can start converging on the well itself and put it out. And then when all 4 streams start converging on the fire at one time, they're getting ready to snuff it out. And that's when you start concentrating on getting ready to watch it go out, because when they all converge, that's it right there.
Ken Austin runs the backhoe that digs away coke and debris from the wellhead.
We had some real good luck on this one here, though. The wellhead come off real easy. We were only going to test it to see how strongly it was secured, and it broke right off. It concentrated all the fire going upwards. We were able to break the coke away pretty easily. It made it easier to control the ground fires. This one here was pretty well textbook perfect as far as, if there is such a thing as textbook perfect, this was one of them.
Well, you got a low boy, 90-152, is out here by near 109. He's looking for number 32, sir.
Firefighting efforts began painfully. In March, there weren't enough pumps, or trucks, or heavy equipment. Everyone sensed the urgency, but logistical and organizational problems were massive. Predictions abounded. The fires would burn 2, 3, even 5 years. By mid-spring, thousands of tons of equipment arrived every day, and fire crews began killing fires and capping wells. Bechtel Construction President Terry Farley and Project Director Tom Heisman pulled together a top team of international hands. From the beginning, Heisman has remained in the field 7 days a week to plan and structure the workforce. At the Kuwait airport, regular trips by the world's largest aircraft, the Soviet Antonov, disgorged thousands of tons of equipment and supplies. The project also contracted a C-5A military-type transport for urgent cargo that could not wait for ships. In the first 4 months, Bechtel procured more equipment in Kuwait than it did in the first 4 years of the Jubail mega project in Saudi Arabia. Most of the 125,000 tons of materials came through the Gulf port of Jebel Ali in Dubai, about 550 miles south of Kuwait. Dave Gilbert runs a staff that peaked at nearly 150 people to handle the procurement and personnel traffic. And equipment was not the only urgency. From 3 people on March 4th, staffing grew to nearly 10,000 by summer. Bechtel alone brought in about 1,000 people, mainly from London, San Francisco, Houston, and Los Angeles, making it the fastest overseas mobilization in the company's history.
Barry, any word on when Alert might be ready to, or might have rooms available over there at Latifa Towers? Come back.
Those 10,000 people must be housed and fed. Early in the project, the war-ravaged country had little available housing. A ship was chartered and docked to provide quarters for hundreds of workers. Later, high-rise apartments near the coast were stripped of Iraqi trash, ammunition, and poison gas, cleaned and furnished. 3 full-service dining halls provide nearly 30,000 meals a day.
Tell him to come on up here to 224 as fast as he can get up here.
No 2 fires are alike, but most can be grouped into categories. There are hot-burning gas fires. They burn more cleanly than most, and many are recognizable by the nearly vertical jets. They scream a high-pressure hiss compared to the deep-throated roar of the crude oil fires. The white and gray smokers indicate wells with high water content. But the big polluters are the coke fires, big, black, billowing monsters. These brutes burn inefficiently, and as a result, huge piles of unburned petroleum called coke piles accumulate around the wellhead, sometimes 20 feet high. Coke fires also cause most of the ground fires and oil layers. One effective way to extinguish ground fires is to cover them with truckloads of desert sand called gatch, and to spread the gatch with bulldozers. Then firefighters must break through and remove the coke piles before they can hope to extinguish the flames. After building a gatch platform to work on, they use long-reach backhoes or athy wagons with rakes attached. On August 5th, the United States Army wheeled out a couple of tanks to blast a stubborn coke pile. They fired several 165-millimeter rounds from 250 yards away.
Identified. Up. Fire. On the way.
The barrage did the job, but the technique is considered too dangerous to use on a general basis. There are as many techniques used to kill fires as there are kinds of fires. One method, developed by Hungarian blowout specialists, features a Soviet T-34 tank mounted with twin MiG-21 engines. The tank crawls within a few meters of the fire, aims its jets and nozzles, and spews streams of water and powder onto a blaze. Killing fires is just part of the problem. Capping the well is often just as tough. Firefighters are actually called well control specialists because controlling the well, pouring mud and cement down inside it, and closing it off for good is what their job ultimately involves. Sometimes, if crews cannot cap wells quickly, they must reignite them because escaping gas could choke them or accumulate and explode. Often, wellheads are so badly damaged, backhoes must dig pits 10 to 20 feet deep to give crews access to fittings they can work with. But someone has to get close to the wellhead to assess its condition. And then they must execute the plan. Crews struggle as oil blows in their eyes to determine if any salvageable fittings remain on the wellhead. Then they try to find anything clean to wipe the oil out of their eyes. A short distance away, a Boots and Coots team is a few steps ahead in the capping process. They wrestle a new fitting on top of the wellhead. Even though they killed the fire yesterday, the ground is still hot enough to boil water. A firefighter will drink up to 12 liters of fluid a day to replace what he sweats. By day's end, the crew is ready to shut it down. The deafening roar subsides. The crew relaxes. One takes a swim in the lagoon filled with firefighting water. But, moments later, frustration. The well is too badly damaged at its base to keep it closed. Oil spews from the damage, and the well could blow. The gusher must be started again. They will tackle repairs tomorrow.
Down here on BG245, the smoke is too bad this morning. We're going to try again after lunch. I'll come down first, but if y'all could just stand by for probably around 1 o'clock.
Your copy, you want the truck to remain on location, or do you want to send it back to the KDC camp?
I'd send him on back to camp. Their visibility is 0 with good headlights.
It is shortly after 5 a.m. on the second day of fall. The firefighting support team is reviewing yesterday's accomplishments and planning today's tactics. For the past 2 days, the early autumn winds have been erratic, shifting as much as 260 degrees. Firefighters are being chased out of their positions and into full retreat. Progress has been nil, and Bechtel's Noel Knight has other concerns.
Some of them, people yesterday had nosebleeds, and especially amongst the new hires that are down in the field right now. Please don't panic about that. That's basically the irritation of the nasal passage. Obviously, if your eyes are stinging and the throat is very sore, you don't stay in there.
The best way to get information from the battle lines is to get eyewitness intelligence. In firefighter support, that job falls to Bechtel's Craig Arndt and Dave Bueller. Their first stop is at the edge of the oil field, checking progress of a 12-million-gallon lagoon for firefighting water storage. This is the largest of 365 lagoons, most holding 1 million gallons, that will be built to fight the fires. Next, into the battle zone, and the smoke closes in.
Yeah, this is life in the big city.
Yeah. It gets real light in here.
Yeah. That's our backyard. That's why we love it here.
That's right.
Arndt and Bueller are looking for the teams from Iran and the People's Republic of China in South Bergan Field. They search for several hours. Smoke disorients them. Usual landmarks are obliterated. Bergan has more wells per square mile than any oil field in the world. It is also one of the world's largest. And in the southern portion this September day, more than 100 fires are still raging.
Now see, this one has silicon coming out of it. You can see the little white shoot out of it. That's beautiful.
It is. And this is the midday sun.
A ground fire blanketing several hundred acres blocks their road. It wasn't here yesterday. Arndt and Bueller leave the van to search for a route around the fire, and they become wraiths, shrouded in a ghostly pall. They turn back, unable to find an alternate route, emerging from the haze like specters in vaporous illusion. Ultimately, they find the wells where the teams are scheduled to be, but it is clear that the fire crews took Noel Knight's advice and got out.
It looks deserted as well, except for that guy behind me.
Bueller and Arndt drive back toward the sun and hope for a clearer day tomorrow. Spilled oil covers the ground. There are more than 200 oil lakes, and some lakes are huge. One measures half a mile long by a quarter-mile wide. No one knows how deep it is. Recovering that oil is an environmental urgency. It is also an economic necessity. At first, the oil was considered worthless, sludge contaminated with sand and water. Many light ends, like propane and butane, had either evaporated or burned off. But Travis Brown and Richard Hinson believed the oil had value.
Our little testing proved that it's not sludge, it's an oil-water emulsion. It looks bad, but when you separate the oil and water, you get clean oil.
Brown and Hinson bulldozed a primitive open-pit oil treatment center with a plastic liner, a discarded pressure tank damaged by fire, and a pump originally used for sewage.
We put a chemical into the suction of the pickup pump and got it mixed. It's kind of like mixing a cake. You got to have a little bit of sugar in every mouthful. We got to have a little of that chemical in every gallon. So putting the chemical in the barrel and regulating the rate is kind of difficult, and it consumes some time. But then when we get the chemical and oil mixed into this pit, then all we got to do is heat it and leave it here less than 24 hours. And you've got water in the bottom, sellable oil on the top. Real simple.
The pilot program has produced 10,000 barrels a day of commercial oil.
Break, barrel break, EOD, whatever.
Yeah, Mike, send over.
Harry, I've been searching 3-3. There's nobody here from the Kuwaitis yet. I'm not going to hang around here much longer. I can't find this rock eye, and I've searched that whole bank that you suggested over.
Alan Fry wears a heavy flak jacket, looks through a plastic face shield, and crawls on his belly across a minefield in the blazing desert sand. He's part of the explosive ordnance disposal crew clearing tons of live ammunition left after the war. Fry's Royal Ordnance team has found an Iraqi minefield. Some mines are on the surface, clearly visible. Some aren't.
Yeah, he's just got his mine detector, metal detector. He's just sweeping the ground. If he detects any type of metal, the mine detector will make a signal. You dig the ground and move it until you find what exactly was causing the signal. For the most part, it's usually just pieces of metal. Occasionally, it's like you see the mines out there.
These mines are called VS-50s, Italian anti-personnel mines. Fry's crew found 34 yesterday and 37 the day before that.
It's powerful enough basically to take part of your foot off. So in theory, if you lose part of your foot or large enough part of your foot, you'll probably lose your leg below the knee. So if you actually just ease your foot down onto the mine, that would be enough to set it off. Pressure-wise, anything between 2 and 10 pounds.
Fry works gingerly. He ties a piece of line around the mine. Then he moves away and tugs it.
Yeah, we basically pull the mine in case there's any kind of booby trap or remote device underneath it, so that we're not going to get caught by a booby trap.
He removes the detonator and neutralizes it. It joins the rest of the day's work.
36 today. So far, anyway.
A few miles away, another Royal Ordnance EOD crew slogs through oil-coated sand to get at several rock eyes. Andy Smith explains that rock eyes are tank killers, and these are too sensitive to move.
See what you have with rock eye. You've got a shaped charge there, and around there you have fragment. If you can see it, that's fragmentation, and that's a shaped charge. So that's arm. That's basically anti-arm at this part, and that's anti-personnel. So if it goes on.
Thousands of tons of unexploded mines, bombs, and grenades litter the oil fields. EOD crews must clear a path before fires can be approached, before roads are built, before pipe is laid, or lagoons are dug. EOD operator Phil Tokel makes final preparation to blow the 5 rock eyes.
You've been doing this a while, have you?
Well, 16 years in the army. I've been out the army 2 years.
Any reason I should be nervous?
Basically, yes. Should be only one guy out here. turns to shit. There's only one guy gets it.
Advice taken from 1,000 meters away.
Stand by. Fire.
Graham Wilson to do that other sanding job there for that bad road. So we keep this grader down here, maybe to pick that other bit of work up.
The war against the fires is going better than anyone predicted, and by late summer, Kuwaitis have returned to rebuild their country. In downtown Kuwait City, the traffic speeds along highways, and infrastructure services such as electricity, water, and sewer have been operating since early summer. Food is plentiful, and commerce is surging. Kuwaitis have always been known as good bargainers, and in the famous Fahahil fish market, war didn't change that. On the battlefield, blossoms are returning to the bougainvillea. And on the Gulf, recreation has resumed. By summer, the predictions of the final firefight shortened. Maybe, they said, the last blaze would be out by the end of 1992. And still, the pace quickened. On September 6th, the halfway well, number 375, was capped. By early October, firefighters had snuffed and capped more than 500 wells of the nearly 750 damaged. 30 firefighting teams killed fires and controlled wells at a rate exceeding 6 a day. Meanwhile, the oil fields are producing again. New wells are being drilled to replace those ruined by the vengeance of a demented, defeated destroyer. Refineries are back in operation. Kuwait Petroleum Company is selling more than 200,000 barrels a day. By year's end, that could reach 500,000 barrels, about a quarter of pre-war levels. Tank farms leveled by the war are being rebuilt and storage capacity renewed. On the morning of November 6, 1991, a Canadian team snuffed the last fire in the northern fields. Moments later, in the Bergan fields to the south, His Highness, the Emir of Kuwait, personally extinguished and capped the ceremonial final well, which also capped 8 months of unprecedented human effort, bringing back the sun to Kuwait.